Scottie Pippen does it again. Goes off on Michael Jordan. Let's talk about it. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking some NBA. And here to talk about Scottie Pippen's latest comments on Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. He was recently on Stacey King's podcast, Give Me the Hot Sauce podcast that Stacey King has. Obviously, Stacey King, former Chicago Bull, and he is the commentator for the Bulls. And so he had Scottie on. It was a long conversation, man, and the main talking point that went viral on social media was the fact that Scottie Pippen said that Michael Jordan was a quote-unquote horrible player. Now, I saw Stacey go on Twitter and say that this wasn't the case, folks. I listened to the podcast. That's exactly what Scottie Pippen said, for better or worse. Maybe the interpretation is what Stacey could be debating, but make no mistake about it. That's what Scottie Pippen said. All right. And he said that LeBron James will go down as statistically the best player, and Michael Jordan was a horrible player before Scottie got to the Chicago Bulls because he was a one-on-one player and all he cared about was scoring. Winning wasn't much of a concern, and he was terrible to play with, and all of these things, man. And I got to tell you, right off the bat, it just breaks my heart to see Scottie Pippen be like this, man. It just feels like he's just this bitter individual who is just absolutely, annoyed about the fact that, he was the number two to Michael Jordan's number one. And it's like coming out after all these years, because it's not the first time we've seen Scottie kind of go off the deep end, man. Like, Scottie flip-flops a lot. Like, he's talked about how, before he thought MJ was better than LeBron, and then he said LeBron's better than MJ, and then he even said he's better than LeBron. Like, Scottie's just an interesting guy, man. So here's what I'll say, all right? I believe there are multiple factors at play here. People can bring up, obviously, the whole thing about, Scottie's ex-wife and Michael Jordan's son being a thing, and that could play a part in here. Overall, I do think that Scottie Pippen, maybe a little bitter, maybe a little resentful. I think at this point, after The Last Dance came out a few years ago, I think that really is what maybe hit home for Scottie, where, Michael Jordan is just seen as this quote unquote god to people, right? He's a basketball god. And it's insane to think about it in this way, but it is kind of true where, MJ's the GOAT, right? And Scottie's name doesn't get brought up as much because clearly he wasn't as good as Michael Jordan, but he was very impactful to those championships. He was the second best player, and people forget that when MJ retired, Scottie almost took the Bulls to the finals. And I think this is just Scottie being, bitter about the fact that he wants more recognition. He just wants more. He wants more credit. That's all it is. And Michael Jordan's career, for better or worse, is sometimes just taken in this vacuum of a 6-year career where he won 6 championships and didn't lose any of them, and he is the GOAT, and that's why people say that. But I think that's what it is. Whatever the case may be, man, it's just sad because, Mike's always shown Scottie love and respect, and I feel like Scottie being bitter and resentful has shown that not to be the case in terms of his love back to MJ. But, it just sucks seeing, the two Chicago legends who brought 6 championships to the city act like this. And I shouldn't say both, I should say only one. But, whatever the case is, man, I hope Scottie gets the help, because this has been going on far too long. He lashed out at Phil Jackson, too. He's just so bitter and resentful. I guess he just wants more credit. I guess people just don't give him enough credit, which I don't understand, because people know how important Scottie Pippen was to those championship teams. Whatever the case is, I, for one, have tried my best to kind of ignore these comments, because I just want to remember MJ and Scottie as these two greats that love each other. But how can you when Scottie comes out and says things like this? I really don't think he means it. I really don't. When he says MJ was a horrible player to play with and whatnot, I think this is just him being a little emotional, honestly. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel about it. And, I think if people gave Scottie more credit and that Scottie felt like he got more credit, he wouldn't say these things. So that's where I'm at, people. It's sad. It's so sad. Honestly, I hate it. Being a huge, huge Chicago Bulls fan. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, man. Leave a comment down below. What are your thoughts on Scottie's comments? As always, thanks for watching.